creating this video to showcase the story of what's been happening with Tim Hortons, starting with 2017, when the minimum wage was $11.40 in Ontario, to this year with it being now $14, and what the perspectives will look like for Tim Hortons in 2019 for both Wynne, Horwath, and Doug Ford. In 2017, Tim Hortons had to pay $11.40 for the minimum wage. Their corporate income tax was 11.5% under the Wynne government. It had, I'm going to estimate, about 1,300 stores in Ontario with about 32,500 workers. This would equate to about 65 million man-hours per year for full-time workers. And the estimated revenue for Tim Hortons was about 3.92 billion Canadian, or about 1.3 billion in Ontario. With that 1.3 billion, they were paying a $149,500,000 in taxes, and they were paying their workers $741 million in wages. Together, that is about $890.5 million. And then they had to pay property taxes, gas, electricity, mortgage, and had to pay their managers and owners, plus they were paying benefits. So the overall costs for wages and taxes was about 68.5% of their revenues. In 2018, Kathleen Wynne introduced the $14 an hour minimum wage. This would increase the amount of money that Tim Hortons was paying for their workers by a huge amount, $910 million in wages. Together with the amount of money that they were spending on their taxes, it was $1,059 million, which would leave only $240 million to pay all of their bills like property taxes, gas, electricity, mortgages, and to pay for their managers and owners. They could no longer afford the benefits because 81.5% of their revenues were going to the wages of the workers and to the taxes. Next year, if Wynne wins, she's going to increase the minimum wage to $15 an hour. This, of course, is going to eat into Tim Hortons' revenues even more because their workers will be working for $975 million a year. The total prices with the taxes is $1,124 million a year, which leaves them only about $176 million to pay all of their gas, electricity, property taxes, mortgages, and rent, and paying their managers and owners. The total amount would be 86.5% of their revenues. With Andrea Horwath, it gets even worse. Not only is she going to pay the $15 minimum wage, she's also going to raise the corporate income tax up to 13%. Well, she says that she'll do it in 2020. So when this happens, the total bill for the workers and the taxes will be $1,144 million, leaving only $156 million for Tim Hortons location owners to pay for their gas, electricity, mortgage, property taxes. Oh, which will also be going up with Andrea Horwath, and then later their managers and their owners. So with just the corporate income tax and the minimum wage, they're looking at 88% of their revenues. With Doug Ford, things will get a little better. Doug Ford promises to lower the income tax corporate income tax to 10.5%, and I wonder if his lower of small businesses income tax by another 0.2% would also help Tim Hortons franchise owners. According to the stats, with the fact that he's going to keep the $14 an hour minimum wage, the altogether spending on the wages and for taxes would be $1,046,000,000, which would leave Tim Hortons about $254 million to pay for their the bills for their locations, such as property taxes, gas, electricity, mortgage, rent, and paying for their managers and owners. That would be about 80.5% of their total revenues. While I'm not an economist, I'm pretty good at math, and when I find facts and figures like I did from statistica.com, it gives me time to pause and wonder and ask myself, are the prevailing narratives that in the media through politicians correct? Both Wynne and Andrea Horwath are constantly on the idea that we have to stand up to corporations and business owners because they're the enemy. We have to force those business owners to pay a fair minimum wage. In my estimation, what they're doing is not fair because they are severely limiting these businesses' ability to conduct their own business. They're going to be able to hire less people because of higher minimum wages and higher taxes. And in effect, Kathleen Wynne and Andrea Horwath are doing more harm than good. On the other notes, at least Doug Ford is looking for ways to help small businesses and bigger businesses do business in Ontario, making it a much better province. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. I post up regularly news stories that I'm reading and everything. Plus, don't forget to discuss any of the things that I talk about in this video, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this on your social media feeds. Thanks for watching, guys, and thanks for making Canada great again. Bye.